In a dark and ominous cave, a goblin cheers at what he has accomplished. He has killed the chief, and now crowns himself as such while prancing around. Another goblin tells him that he's spewing nonsense, as he is the new chief, and attacks the other goblin. As they fight, the other goblins cheer, relishing in the chaos of the situation. One of them then remembers that the chief had left some untouched prey, so they should go and enjoy it. But another is quite fearful of acting, as someone they are fearful of is guarding it. Sure enough, the one they are talking about appears. He is just as lanky as the other goblins, but has hair and covers himself, a detail the goblins are very much angry about. Since he knows where the prey is, they decide to follow him, as he's certainly going to have the prey to himself. A goblin with half a brain cell more than the others tells them to wait, as others have gone to the prey already. They are tougher than they are, so once they start fighting, then they can go. Hearing this, the shunned goblin damns himself and begins running toward the prey's location, who is already screaming for help. The prey is revealed to be a woman, who is pleading with the shunned goblin for help, as 3 others stand near her. He demands that they let go, but a larger goblin tells him that with the chief's death, this prey is his now. If he dares to interfere, then he can die with the chief. As they assault him and rip his clothes to shreds, his eyes become bloodshot as he realizes the danger he is in. His spirit does not waver, as he refuses to die in this decrepit place. The other 2 goblins freeze as he takes the bigger one out with a hidden blade, which he points at them, demanding they come. Seeing this, they bolt away, leaving the shunned goblin to catch his breath. The woman gets up and thanks her savior, noting that he really is different from the others here, so he shouldn't die. The shunned goblin looks at a system notification, thinking that he really is different because he was once a human. Instead of meeting God, he was transported to this other world after he was hit by Truck-kun. But even though he has been blessed with a system, it has not yet been activated. Other than seeing stats, he doesn't have access to any of its other functions, but he hasn't given up either. From what this woman, whom the others call Prey, has told him, he gained an understanding of the world outside of this cave. This realm, created by gods, has various beasts, and humans have carved a place for themselves with their strength. Unfortunately, he reincarnated into the weakest and filthiest creature in this realm, a goblin. Even for a goblin, Lin Tian's stats are very low, so he could easily be killed. The only way for him to get stronger is to mate with persons of the opposite sex. That is how most goblins do it, by constantly mating. They become bigger, but since this race has no natural females, they plunder them like they would food. It's of no consequence to them. However, he is a human, so doing something like this is out of the question. Seeing him so deep in thought, the woman tells him not to worry, as she has understood a lot from their days together. He is different, and doesn't want to live in this awful place with the other goblins, right? He says nothing, but she continues for him, noting that when the nights come, she will shower him with praise, and since the nights are all just, they will definitely allow him to live in the village. Lin just looks at her, but she is not wrong. If he can get the humans to protect him for a little bit, he can figure out how to activate the system in that time. Suddenly, a bunch of shrieks bellow in the walls, and Lin knows that this means the other goblins will be coming for the prey, so he tells her to hide. As she does, a bloodied goblin appears, rambling on, as a human has seemingly appeared, and he wants to mate in order to get stronger. Lin swiftly takes care of him and tells the woman to come, as it seems the humans are here to rescue her. She immediately runs toward the exit, glad to hear that hell is finally over. Near the entrance of the cave, a knight in light armor seems to be easily taking care of all the other goblins, only mad that they are tearing his precious Holy Order uniform. Lin analyzes him and sees that he's level 25, and a swordsman at that, with an overall combat power of 400. He is surprised by these high stats, but considering he is a human, perhaps this is to be expected. The woman jumps in to greet the commander as she seems to know him already, but Lin's face contorts as the commander seemingly brings his sword down on the woman. He jumps in, barely having time to save her from the oncoming strike. Lin can't possibly fathom why he did such a thing. Is it too dark in the cave, and he mistook her for a goblin, perhaps? The commander is more mad that a goblin dodged his attack. The woman reveals herself to be Kelya, making this apparent so the commander knows it's her. He already does, however, but since she's been defiled by goblins, she might already be carrying one of the devils inside of her. It's ridiculous to let a beast like her live, so she will repent in front of their holy mother. Kelya tugs at his cape as she explains that she was not defiled. She was protected by the goblin next to her. The commander is not having it. If she wishes to make stuff up, at least it should be believable. Lin can't believe what he is seeing. He jumps in to save the woman, telling her to leave, as there's an exit on the other side. As he charges into this fruitless fight, He damns his fate for leading him here. But before anything can happen, Lin is suddenly engulfed in a holy light as a woman tells the commander to wait. As indeed, this goblin does seem strange. Kelya jumps at the holy maiden's feet, pleading with her for salvation. After Kelya is properly calmed down, the holy maiden speaks with Lin, demanding to know if he understands her. He knows of her. She is the holy maiden Ifreya, basically a figurehead of the temple. If he wants to leave, this is his hope. Lin exclaims that he can in fact understand her. He knows of her too, and explains that he is no monster, but a human. He became like this in an accident, but he will only explain further if they get him out of here. The commander notes that he is smart enough to talk like this, which is rare for a goblin. The holy maiden thinks the same. Perhaps his intelligence is a gift from the Holy Mother. To confirm though, she asks Kelya if this goblin really did her no harm, and she confirms as such. Not only did he not hurt her, he also protected her and offered her food. The holy maiden is satisfied with this answer, so she decides that they will take the goblin back and study it thoroughly before coming to a decision, but they will not take him by force. So she asks if he's willing. He confirms as such, thinking that this is the only way for him to prove his innocence. This is his chance. The holy maiden dispels the shield around him and tells everyone that they will be going, as they are done here. As they walk, Lin thanks them for not killing him and notes that he will repay them properly. An evil expression falls on the holy maiden's face as she confirms that he will, and the commander stabs Kelya in the stomach, making her fall to the ground. Lin hears this, and his heart freezes at the sight, sweat running down his face as he realizes the gravity of the situation. The holy maiden tells him that once they get back, he had better repay her in kind, or else. 1 week later, in the nearby town, the commander speaks with the people, noting that the goblin raids brought great calamity to their town. They used sneak attacks to slaughter their people and steal their food. The people, filled with hatred no better than the goblins, damn them for their wickedness. The commander continues, noting that they, people of the temple, purged the goblins and avenged the fallen villagers. The holy maiden herself makes a big spectacle out of it, noting that they will always protect their devout followers. Later, as she retreats to her chambers, she notes that today's sermon was a resounding success. The people are as naive as ever. With the advent of this finished goblin raid, they will pray and pay. Even harder now. Lin calls out her name, Freya, as he is chained to a nearby torture wall. He is filled with hate, calling her all sorts of names. She is glad to see him so energetic. No wonder the temple can't eradicate the goblins since they are so alive. This time, they will test to see if poison works on goblins. Isn't that neat? Having had enough, Lin screams out, as she is deceiving everyone. Their holy order is nothing but a trick, a sham on their so-called human justice. Suddenly, Freya stabs him in the mouth with a wooden device, and finds it strange that such a disgusting creature like him dares to question their justice. He simply bewitched Kelya and spoke for her. That is a betrayal of her entire race, so her death was justified, and he, his entire race, is nothing more than vermin. For her to speak to him is already a great favor. He should be eternally grateful that she decided to use his disgusting body to experiment. As she loads him up with poison, he thinks to himself about all the mistakes he made. He was foolish ever to trust the humans, thinking that this was like one of those fantasy stories where no bad people exist. After being taken back to the village, he was tortured for days on end, and he died being tortured by a hag. If he had another shot, he would never trust humans again. He would make sure that the ones responsible for his pain would suffer even greater pain. Suddenly, he wakes up in a mystical place, his injuries gone. The system appears. The Goblin life simulation system has activated because of what has transpired, and there is only one question left. Does he want to start over? Now Lin gets it. The system only activates after death, but even so, he will still get reincarnated as a goblin. Before deciding, he wisely questions what each choice does, and the system explains that if he chooses no, his soul will disappear forever. But if he chooses yes, he will retain his memory, and the system will send him back to the Goblin Cave, a week before all of this. Lin smiles cruelly as he understands. This is a chance for him to get revenge on both the commander and Freya, so he chooses yes, his eyes beaming with determination. Since this is his second life, the system buffs him up a bit, letting him appear more like a human and giving him a small stat boost. He doesn't have time to linger on this though, as the order is about to arrive. He cannot let his guard down. He asks the system about what he can do, and it answers with the life simulation system, where the host can simulate their life with it in order to predict the future. Every choice will lead to different outcomes, and he has a 24-hour cooldown on it. After each simulation, he will also gain points. Hearing this, Lin starts the life simulation immediately, where it gives him a scenario. To escape the Goblin Cave, he has 3 options: to warn his fellow goblins and unite to face the incoming danger, to abandon the others and escape, or hide and pray that he's not found. Lin thinks on it. Even though he has a multitude of options, only escaping is really viable, as even if they unite, goblins can't do much against such a high-level human. He decides, though, to simulate the first option, as it gives the most points. Sure enough, the outcome is as he predicted, and he is rewarded 10 points too. After analyzing the situation, he opens the exchange shop, where he is showered with deals on very powerful-looking weapons. But since he has only 10 points, he settles for a dagger, crafted by elves no less. Even if the cost was negligible, this knife is sharper than anything a goblin could ever make, and gives stat boosts too. He then asks the system where Kelya is, so the system reveals that this is a slightly changed timeline, and in it, Kelya was not captured, so she's living happily in the village. Lin is shocked at first, but smiles, as he has basically fulfilled his promise. There's no need to be scared now. He decides to run away through the other side of the cave, which should have weaker guards. Sure enough, there are only 2, and they are seemingly just chatting it up. Lin takes heed to stay in the shadows and listen to their conversation. Although it doesn't tell him much, it's clear that these guys are as despicable as the people they follow. Since he now knows 100% that they are not worth his mercy, he fakes a female voice, screaming that he's been captured by goblins. With a dagger behind his back, one of the guards approaches with deceit in his voice, telling the supposed woman to come out and get rescued. At that moment, though, Lin strikes, taking out the guard with one precise thrust. The other guard doesn't see Lin and approaches, wondering what the hell his colleague is doing. But as he does that, Lin dashes toward him and manages to slash his entire chest, making him fall to the ground in pain. The guard is in shock. Since when do goblins speak? The guard, now on his last legs, pleads with him to let him go, showing that he has a family at home that is waiting for him to come home. If he can speak, surely he can see that he was simply forced to come here, and even more, he will give him whatever he wants. A bag of gold, perhaps a woman. At the same time, he pulls out a knife from behind and strikes at Lin, but it's too late already, as he has already decapitated him. After this, he hears a bunch of commotion, so instead of lingering for any longer, he grabs the clothes off one of the guards and vows that he will get his revenge. Later, Freya and the commander arrive at the scene, with the commander shocked to see that a goblin managed to kill 2 guards. Freya guesses that a goblin who has done this certainly must be a mutant, and the commander confirms as such, but he's more disappointed in the fact that these 2 worms didn't do jack. Freya becomes ecstatic at this news. If they can catch such a creature, she will have a lot of fun with it. Later that night, Lin rests near a river, glad that he has survived the day. As he enjoys some fruit, he thinks that he must become a goblin, since this is what fate has given him. He will breed and eat until he becomes a beast. He will never forget humanity's deceitful nature, and will make sure that they get what they always wanted from him: a goblin. Suddenly, he hears a bunch of rustling in the nearby bushes and jumps out to strike first, but he is met with a goblin who screams out in surprise, who can also talk. He manages to catch her fall, but is shocked by what he sees. Actually a goblin woman, something that should be impossible. She pleads for her life, saying that she only came here to get some water. Lin swiftly analyzes her and sees that she's a god messenger, a fallen god, and a pure soul. What's the most interesting, though, is that if a male goblin mates with her, that male goblin will become the legendary goblin god. Seeing as he has taken an interest in her, the goblin woman reiterates that she really is here for some water. If she doesn't get it, she will get beaten by the chief. Lin apologizes and comforts her, not because he cares, but because he doesn't want to attract any attention. The woman is surprised that he can also talk, which Lin expected. Goblins cannot talk in the literal sense, so she probably hasn't talked with anyone. The woman is glad to meet such a kind person, as the other goblins hit and scold her. Doesn't he want to come to their tribe too? Hearing this, Lin asks if there really is a tribe nearby. He can't be sure that the commander and his ilk aren't following, so he must find a safe space. The woman sheepishly notes that she will take him there, and Lin smiles. He was worried about where he would get new subordinates, so this is the perfect opportunity. As soon as he arrives, the other goblins immediately get out of their tents and laugh at him for wearing clothes. Lin doesn't pay them any mind and notes that he's here to join, and so he wants to see their leader. The goblins explode in laughter. Who is he to demand a meeting with their boss? The woman jumps in front of Lin to defend him, as he is not a bad person, and the boss appears, demanding to know what the commotion is about. The boss is a level 25 goblin priest, with the title of breeding machine. I couldn't make this up if I tried, and a combat level of 200. Lin analyzes him closely, assessing whether or not he can take on his opponents. The boss asks the woman if she was the one who brought this new goblin back, and she confirms as such, with the goblin ecstatic to hear it. He commands his minions to kill the clothed freak and consume his flesh, but before they can do so, Lin pulls out a blade and explains that he can make weapons, so they should let him join if they wish to get stronger. The boss goblin tells the minions to wait and approaches him, not smelling a lie coming from this freak goblin, but he's still curious. What kind of weapons can he craft? Lin explains that as long as he has some iron ore to work with, he can make rudimentary iron tools and weapons even better than the one he has. If they have these iron tools at their disposal, they can defeat monsters and humans with no issues. The goblins are quite happy to hear this, as with such tools, they will make sure to wipe out any humans who dare stand in their way, and even take on the elves to the north. The boss has nothing to lose, so he gives him one chance. He will find iron ore and make some tools in 3 days. Otherwise, he will be eaten, along with the one who brought him. With that, the boss leaves, his minions cackling like hyenas. Lin thinks that this old goblin is mad to kill his own kind like this, and since he cannot face him now, he must really craft some iron tools to buy himself some time to get stronger. Later that night, as Lin and some other goblins try to find some ore, the woman demands they slow down a bit, as she's been walking all day and she's getting very tired. Almost immediately, the other goblins put her on the ground and begin beating her, apparently trying to kill her, as she's become increasingly annoying, and she's lazy too. Suddenly, Lin throws a rock at the head of one of the goblins and explains that he brought her along to find ore. He has already told them what it looks like multiple times. If they want to stay alive, they should go and search for it, or perhaps they wish for death. Getting fearful for their lives, the goblins run away, vowing revenge against him once they get their iron tools. Lin thinks they are right. Even if he makes the tools, getting killed will eventually happen. Although, he has one card next to him that he can still play. He tells the woman not to cry over them and crouches down to her. He tells her that if she stays with him, he will provide her with anything she wants and will also make sure that nobody dares to bully her ever again. She finds this hard to believe, but Lin vows to do so. Although to do this, he needs her help to get stronger. The woman asks how, and Lin, with a straight face, tells her that if she's willing to mate, he can get stronger. The woman is naturally wary of this, as she has never done it before, and Lin notes that it's okay if she's willing. They kiss, and I'm not going to describe what transpires because you can already guess. Due to him getting God tier Puh though, Lin gains a new title, Potential God, along with a body transformation and even more stats. He covers the goblin woman up, vowing to protect her for life from this moment forth. He can't enjoy the moment though, as one of the goblins comes screaming and running, oar in hand, as he's being chased by what appears to be a demonic wolf. Lin notices the real ore that the goblin brought back, a key to his survival, and tells the woman not to wait for him, as he has to do something. Just as the wolf is about to enjoy his green morsel, Lin jumps in and strikes, killing the wolf in one swift and deadly blow. He then approaches the goblin and demands that ore, which the goblin immediately gives, still afraid and shivering. Lin sees that the quality is good enough, but he needs more to make them weapons, and the goblin immediately rushes to find more. The next day, Lin finishes his first weapon, a rudimentary spear that he uses on a wolf corpse to prove its sharpness. The boss is stunned, and the goblins attest to Lin's craft, noting that he killed one of the wolves with the spear and even saved them. It's much better than stone. To them, Lin looks like a new boss, perhaps even more than that, and the current boss can feel it, but he can use him too. He is glad to see that he's not lying, but if he wishes to stay, he will have to make 50 more weapons. The goblins don't like this sort of thing. Greediness of this magnitude can only be achieved by humans, but the goblins wish to help Lin, already moving the tide in his favor. In 2 short days, Lin presents the weapons, with the goblins cheering for him more than in the past. The boss is glad to see this, and to celebrate Lin officially joining them, he decides to throw a feast. They pull out all the stops, and the boss presents Lin a freshly cooked boar, a delicacy for their kind. After he takes a bite though, poison seemingly overwhelms his body, and he falls to the ground. The boss approaches, calling him a stupid outsider. Did he really expect to be let in like this when he can easily overwhelm him in the future? He grabs the goblin woman, knowing that Lin cares about her, and begins piercing her neck, intending to cut her entire head off. Before that can happen though, his arm is flung near the fire, as Lin was just playing along, knowing full well that this was going to happen. The boss knows that he must defeat him now, so he charges in with his staff, but lunges too hard, allowing Lin to kill him instantly. He has now proved himself as a fierce warrior among other things, so he declares that he is the new boss, and he will lead this goblin village to the north, west, and everywhere. They will conquer and smash anything they see. The goblins cheer for their new boss and feast on their old one, on account of Lin permitting them. This is just the start of his revenge. His next target is the elves, as they will make powerful warriors. Unbeknownst to him, though, an elf woman watched all of this happen and is extremely wary, knowing all too well where this can lead. The elf woman, who is apparently the princess, swiftly returns to her village, with one of the servants welcoming her back and warning her not to go into the clan mother's room, but she refuses to stand still, as she must report what she has seen. She busts down the door and immediately begins explaining, but is suddenly stopped by the visage of her mother enjoying herself a bit too much. Classic leaf muncher activity. The princess gets flustered and immediately tries to back away, but her mother stops her. Since she rushed so adamantly, what she has brought must be important. The princess grabs the opportunity and explains that she has news about the goblin tribe in the forest, with her mother curious as to what importance those green worms have. The princess explains that on that morning, she found a black giant bear in the enchanted forest that had been eaten to the bone. She found signs of fighting and footprints, small ones, like goblins. That bear is one of the fiercest beasts in this forest, so no goblin should be able to kill it. But she also saw that the chief was being overtaken by a younger one, so he might be the culprit of all of this. Her mother is quite interested in this. It seems that the goblins' numbers have recovered quite a large sum, so she tells Kasana to gather some people and clean them up, although she should leave some alive. Alas, the potion made from goblin hearts is an excellent tonic for their male elves. Kasana sheepishly agrees, and seeing her flustered, her mother offers her a male elf as a reward for tonight, since she has worked so hard. Kasana immediately retreats, too flustered to even think on it. Back at the goblin village, the goblins are telling Lin how their houses work, with one stick representing a treehouse, and the enchanted forest has about 30 of them. Lin is impressed that they actually memorized all of this, and as a reward, after they conquer the elves, he will reward 2 elves each to everyone. Excited by this, everyone readies their weapons, leaving Lin to his thoughts. There are 30 elf 3 houses. If he assumes there's only 2 elves per house, that is 60 elves, plus 10 for any contingency. That's 70 at least. Since the priest has died, Lin has led the goblins to mine, craft, and kill monsters to level up. He managed to make them acquire tons of stats, making some of them slightly evolve, as when a goblin devours a skill, the entire tribe gains them too, and their level increases. The elves stand at about 200 combat power. They have surpassed them already, making this an easy conquest. But just to be sure, he should run a simulation. He does just that, but alas, the elves ambush them and shoot them down, before hanging most of them as a warning. Lin expected this, but something catches his eye. The system told him that this plan was someone else's control. This can only mean one thing. The elves are watching their tribe closely. Since goblins have keen hearing and smell, if he cuts out his other senses, he should find some clues. Sure enough, his sharp ears detect something, a chance to strike. As Kasana rushes to inform her mother about the goblins' plans, they get attacked by arrows, which all hit. They all fall down, and because of the poison in the arrows, they cannot move at all. Kasana tries to run away, but it's too late, as Lin is already above her and commands his army to take them all back. After doing so, Lin wakes up Kasana by pouring some water on her, thinking to himself that the body fluids of goblins have a special paralyzing effect on female creatures, so they have an advantage over the elves, who are a matriarchal society. Kasana is angry and asks how he dares to attack the princess of the elves, but in fact, were it not for her mother's kindness, they would have all been wiped out ages ago. Lin throws her to the ground and finds the prospect of their kindness amusing. The elves she speaks of and the elves he and his ilk know are vastly different. It's true, the elves could have wiped them out at any time, but the fact that they are still here suggests that it's not just kindness. There's no need to speculate, though. All will become clear in tonight's raid. He tells the goblins to go divide the other elves and consume them to absorb their skills, as he has other matters to attend to. After the deed is done, Lin gets an increased level cap, while also gaining 2 skills, stealth and night vision. Later that night, as the clan mother is enjoying herself thoroughly with her servants, one of them informs her that Kasana left quite a while ago, but she has not returned. They should at least send a group to check it out, and maybe kill some goblins while they are out. She reluctantly agrees, as Kasana is her heir after all, but suddenly, someone informs her that her daughter won't be coming back tonight. Before her servant can pull out his blade, He is struck down by a precise arrow, and the clan mother knows that there's only one enemy around here. The goblins! Lin reveals himself, noting that Kasana has already been caught, so they are going to become a real family soon. The angry mother grabs a sword and demands to know what he has done with her daughter. But Lin asks her, what can a goblin and an elf even do? The clan mother rushes in, but she immediately misses and falls down, as her body cannot move, Lin explaining that the arrow was laden with their fluids. Even if she didn't get hit, just touching it as she did was enough. When he was outside, he heard her talk about upgrading a warriors with potions, so he guessed that they've been using goblins in this way, huh? As regents? Though she probably didn't expect this to happen, right? Hearing the commotion outside, Lin drags her to the window, as it's time to talk about cooperation. The clan mother's eyes widen as they see their subjects getting killed one by one, and their homes turned into ashes. She screams at Lin, demanding to know what he has done, but he feels no pity, since they are the weaker side here. They cannot resist. When the elves were in power, they killed goblins like cattle, so it's only natural that they get their revenge. Alas, her life won't end here, as her genes will carry forth his dynasty. But after that, well, it all depends on her. Will she let her race die with their pitiful pride, or obey? The clan mother is on her last legs. She begs him, as long as she doesn't kill any of her children, she will submit and do anything it takes to keep her race going. In the goblin village the next day, Kasana is reunited with her mother, who apologizes for her weakness, as she underestimated the goblins, who have far surpassed them for some time. Now, they are only left with their women and children. Their only purpose is to advance the goblins' bloodline. It's the only way for them to survive. Lin arrives and tells them that they need not do much. They will be provided food and arrangements within limits. But if they act out, they can only blame themselves for the consequences. The clan mother understands, but she has a request. Even if goblin, these are her children, so she wishes to take care of them. Lin guesses that it's because of her maternal love attribute, and the goblin woman tells him that it's becoming difficult to take care of them too, so it would be a nice help. Lin allows it. When these elf hybrids grow up, they will add a significant strength to the tribe. He checks what stats he gained from the clan mother, and it's mostly just stats. He probably unlocked the highest level for now, because every qualification just turns into stat boosts. This provides a clear path for him. He must continue to mate with stronger individuals. His current strength is enough to kill the commander. After the elves grow their ranks, he will find an opportunity to deal with him once and for all, and have his revenge. Half a month later, another group of goblins is born, 30 to 40 by now, which Lin is satisfied by. Suddenly, he hears a blood-curdling scream and rushes to see what's going on. Apparently, Kasana is having trouble giving birth, as she's straining on the ground. Her mother explains that it's her fizzer time, so she's having trouble, and soon she might die. Lin takes action and decides to help, even if Kasana doesn't want to. Lin feels that these are his children too, so he has a duty to do this. After a few hours, he manages to save her, and his first kids are born, with the goblin woman surprised that he can do such things. Suddenly, he hears another scream, as two goblins are apparently trying to have some fun with a woman who is in the recovery stage. So as an example, Lin kills one of them on the spot, and announces that until they are rested, they are not allowed to mate under any circumstances, and from now on, all the elves will get a portion of extra fruit as compensation. The clan mother commends his actions, noting that he's different from ordinary goblins, but Lin feels he's only doing what is natural. As long as they behave, they will be treated even better. That night he starts another scenario, which now allows him to go after the ones he has sought revenge on. He has three options: to take action himself and kill the commander, lead the goblins, or wait. Lin knows that even if he can beat the commander in a 1 versus 1, the Holy Maiden is still a mystery, so he decides to test out the first option. While it was true that he was strong enough to kill the commander on his own, a new problem appeared. His master, the sword saint of the human race. She saved him, and he died under her sword, with the summary being that he cannot defeat her now as he is. Lin is confused. Why would such a prominent being appear in such a small part of the world? And he did not expect the commander to try to leave the nearby town either. It seems that he must take action, and swiftly. As he thinks, he sees the goblin woman, Yue, giving fruit, so he formulates a plan. He exclaims that he must go to the human territory for a few days. The warriors in the tribe will listen to her, so it's in their hands. The clan mother calls him crazy. He will be hunted and killed if he does this. Lin explains that he has a score to settle, and knowing she can't make him decide otherwise, she decides to help him by casting a stealth spell on him, which is exactly what Lin was awaiting. He notes that he didn't expect her to care for his safety, But she's only doing this because he's more gentle than the other goblins. And besides, since her children are here, his being alive will secure their future. With that, he leaves on an adventure, hoping to find a key to his survival. Lin shortly arrives in Brighttown, where another patrol is searching the entire place. But Lin is hiding in the shadows, thinking that the defenses of this place have become too strict. Perhaps the Sword Saint has already arrived. He has been gathering info all day though, but has heard nothing of her, which is strange. As he walks from plaza to plaza, something attracts his attention. A bunch of people gathered at a notice board, which seems to be the current team ranking in Brighttown, with the commander being ranked first. Lin cannot afford to let him improve further, so he must find something else, or else his revenge plan will fail. As he continues walking through, he notices a certain loud voice coming out of a nearby tavern, making him smile. He walks inside to find the commander, Loader, enjoying himself, along with his other party members, specifically one of them, who is bragging about killing a four-armed ape. One of the patrons there notes that it is ridiculous to see someone brag about such a small achievement, causing the member to shout at the Boshi team, telling them to get lost. As they bicker, the bartender tells everyone that the dragons from, guess where, the Dragon Island, have begun their breeding season, so they have been kidnapping livestock to feed themselves. If they have so much energy, they should use it on those guys, and not bicker in his tavern. Lin, who is sitting down because apparently nobody can see his very exposed green skin, listens intently. The bartender continues, noting that if dragons attack this place, and the capital sends no reinforcements, the adventurers here won't be able to fend off the dragon horde. Everyone is taking this seriously, except for Loader, who notes that he needn't hide the fact that the Sword Saintess is on her way here. Once she arrives, they will join forces with her to slay the beasts. The capital needn't bother themselves. For some reason, everyone praises Loader, like he actually did something, when all he did was beg his master for help. Pack it up, brother. He continues his flex, noting that he will treat everyone to drinks as a way to celebrate his master's arrival and the future success of their conquest. Lin knows that he must take hold of this opportunity, so he pays for his drink and tries to leave, but Loader invites him for a drink, as he will pay for all his drinks. Lin refuses, as they will have plenty of opportunities to drink in the future, he says with his entire skin showing while sunlight bathes him. But Loader thinks of it as strange, choosing to completely ignore his literal green skin. Or maybe he's short-sighted. Later, everyone celebrates the coming of the Saintess, and Loader meets with her in the chapel, where he informs her about the dragons and their supposed arrival here. She raises herself and asks how the task she sent him on is going. So he explains that the dragon-slaying crossbows she had made were all built and put in high points of the town. She tells him to deploy them now and aim well, lest they disgrace her nobility. A crowd is gathered outside, admiring the Saintess's looks and aura, but she's having none of it, and tells Loader to disperse of them quickly. Just as he's about to do that, the first dragon descends and yoinks a person into the sky, right in front of the Saintess's face, who is not amused. One of the recon goblins reports to Lin, noting that the dragons are here, and many soldiers are lined up along the entire wall. Lin has waited for this opportunity, but they need to wait a bit more. Meanwhile, they can enjoy the show. Tons of dragons descend upon the once peaceful town, with the Saintess showing the commoners how to use the crossbow, as it's quite a heavy piece of equipment. They get the hang of it rather quickly, taking out more dragons out of the sky, which causes them a moment of improved morale. But it's quickly destroyed by the sky turning into lean, which scares everyone to death, as that only means one thing. The purple golden dragon descends on the battlefield. They try to shoot, but the beast unleashes a ray of flame towards them. They all scamper to hide, but the Saintess stands firm and blocks the attack with her given powers. Lin did not expect her to actually block the attack, as the purple golden dragon has a level of 79 and a combat power of 2900. Looking at her now though, she has buff after buff after buff, with a combat power of 4000. She really is abnormal, but thankfully he doesn't have to face her now. The dragon, being slightly weaker than her, has only one advantage: its huge HP pool, meaning the Saintess will not kill her quickly. This allows him to take revenge on humanity and plunge the city into chaos. He forms two teams, one that will create that disturbance, and another that will lie in wait for an ambush, and the goblins seem ready for it. Loader is having difficulties dealing with the dragons, but alas, he has killed a dragon with his own hands now. He's a dragon slayer and can leave everything to his master, as all dragon slayers do. Suddenly though, a citizen runs over to them, exclaiming that goblins are invading, and it appears to be true, as a bunch of them are chasing a woman down the road. Since there are not many dragons left, Loader leaves two of his party members to deal with the dragons for a bit while they fight the goblins, and runs toward them with Freya in tow. Unbeknownst to him, though, he fell right into their trap. Freya is captured and he is put to the ground in one fell swoop. The others see this and rush to help them, but even with Loder's aid, Lin takes their heads off with one precise strike. He certainly didn't expect it to be so easy, but alas, they are weaker than him now. Loder vows to kill him, but Lin kicks him unconscious as he doesn't want to hear him talk. He tells the goblins to take them out through the sewers, while another group comes with him to deal with the crossbowmen. The Saintess has sensed the goblins, but she cannot help now, as she still has to deal with the purple dragon, who transformed into a woman, because of course, she did. She rushes into the Saintess, who easily defends herself and thinks that the dragon is almost dealt with, but she wonders if Loder and the others are safe, especially since goblins are attacking. Suddenly, a large explosion happens behind her, and using this distraction, the dragon retreats, vowing to come back after recovering for revenge. The Saintess is not one to back down either. She vows to wipe out her entire race, soon enough. As she walks around killing goblins and looking for Loder, he comes across a group who tell her that Loder and Freya have been captured. She is shocked. How can goblins capture two of the most powerful humans here? One of the people there explains that the goblins were unusual. Their strength is comparable to a great race, and even Loder couldn't hold a candle. Hearing this, the Saintess immediately has the mind to go there and kill all the goblins. But the nearby woman, who is already in tatters, tells her to stay, as the dragons will surely come back, and they have nobody to defend. Everyone begs her to stay, in fact, and thinking more clearly, she knows that her first and utmost duty is to defend these people. She apologizes to Loder, noting that if he has to blame someone, he should blame his fate. After a short time, the capturees are taken back to the encampment, where they are placed down and told to be quiet. Loder notices how many elves they have captured already, and Freya guesses there might even be hero-tier goblins here. Loder asks Freya if she recovered, and she notes that their toxin is potent, so it will take a lot longer to fully eliminate it. Suddenly, Lin comes from behind and notes his surprise at her recovery. It's indeed a strong ability. Freya is puzzled about how she knows her name, and asks what he wants. In response, Lin rips her flesh asunder, causing her to shriek in pain right in front of Loder, who screams at him to stop. One of the goblins punches him for daring to yell at their boss, putting him on the ground. Loder doesn't stop, though. He knows Lin is intelligent enough to understand him and warns that soon the Saintess will come here and rip all of them to shreds. Lin tells her that he doesn't need to worry about his other prey, and he has already covered their tracks. She couldn't find them if they tried. He orders his goblin berserker to take the second-generation goblins and hunt monsters to bring back as food. This will also help them evolve, something they desperately need now that the humans know of their danger. Lin pins Loder down and tells him to cooperate if he doesn't want to lose his flesh, and then asks if he captures goblins and tortures them for his enjoyment. Loder denies it, so Lin immediately cuts his ear off, causing him to wriggle in pain. Loder explains that all they do is for the human race. It is their duty to defeat them. Lin knows they are full of it. They only care about elevating their own status, choosing to kill the ones they find in goblin dens instead of rescuing them. They really are a righteous bunch. Both Loder and Freya are shocked that he knows of their schemes, and Lin is done talking. If they wish for him to be a monster, then that's what he will be until the very end. He takes advantage of Freya right in front of Loder, who gets front row seats as the goblins are pinning him down. Lin is not done yet, though, as his army needs to have fun too, so he sends them upon her, letting Loder cast his sight over the whole ordeal. The next day, as a goblin has to take the next guard shift, the one that just came from it berates him for abusing the human woman so hard. They need to keep her alive after all. The other goblin tells him not to worry. She's alive and well, just a few scratches on her. Loder tells her to be strong and hold on, and she says that she's fine, but certainly doesn't look like it. The elf clan mother and her daughter look at his sight, guessing that Lin certainly has a grudge against humans. They are much worse off than they are. Yuen notes that she heard Lin mention that he wanted revenge against humans. Considering this, it certainly must be true. The clan mother says that he always keeps his word, no matter what, and never forgets grudges. He's certainly unique in more ways than one. As Lin rests, he gets informed that the second-generation goblins have returned from their hunt, which confuses him, as they are quite early. One goblin warrior announces their arrival to him, and Lin checks his stats, seeing that he gained a bunch of good stats, and broke through the level 30 barrier already, almost catching up to him. He asks why they came back so early. Was the hunt not successful? The goblin warrior explains that they wiped out all the nearby monsters, so they went to the west side, and there, they ran into several high-tier goblins, slaughtering other goblin tribes. Lin asks which tribe he's talking about, and another responds, calling them the Bloodfang tribe, all high-tier goblins too. While they were splitting up to hunt, they discovered several tribes that had been attacked by them. Lin is quite interested in this. If they capture their leader, they could create even stronger third-generation goblins, increasing their power at least twofold. Hearing this, Loder laughs. They are dreaming big while on the brink of death. No matter how powerful they get, the knights will come and wipe them out. Lin almost forgot of his existence since he's been so obedient, but since he likes to talk, he lets the goblins descend upon him. Loder screams and shouts in response, but there's nothing he can do, as apparently, goblins fly both ways. Several hours later, after Loder is sufficiently toyed with, they hold a little celebration, and Yuan asks Lin if he plans to attack the Bloodfang tribe. He confirms as such, if they are to do this, they have to continue growing stronger. Not only will they attack, but also capture their leader. He also came up with a name for this tribe, the Tianquang tribe. Hearing this, the goblins cheer and scream out their name, as it signifies their place in this world. Yuan is a little scared. As the Bloodfang tribe wiped out other tribes, they are probably very strong. Lin tells her to have confidence. He still has a hidden card he has not played quite yet. Before doing anything, he decides to scout the tribe out, as info is just as important as strength. Using his abilities, he sees that they have a few high-tier goblins, but they should be manageable. They seem afraid though, as their leader is coming out of his tent, and just as he expected, it's actually a hero class, Warhammer Goblin. He's not actually super powerful, as he has a combat power of 900, a dozen goblins, and he's done for, but he aims to actually capture him alive. Looking at their size, the poison will have little effect on them, so he has to think of another way to incapacitate them. It would be great if he could use that imprisonment spell that Freya used on him in the past, so it's about time he pays her another visit. After getting back to his tribe, he commands the goblins to do a few things, but one of them warns him that soon, this woman will die. Lin tells him they did well and walks toward Freya, who is begging for death, as she will atone for her sins in the afterlife. Lin takes a cloth and begins washing her, but upon seeing him, she immediately freaks out, her mind broken from the constant pain and assault. Lin uses his ultimate Riz technique, slapping and then hugging her immediately after, saying that her punishment is over. She finds it hard to believe, but Lin has some prerequisites, a choice of faith, so to speak. Either she can keep believing in her god, or she can believe in him and become his pet, free from this torment. After a bit of shallow breathing, Freya begins licking his fingers. Well, Lin is just glad that this worked somehow, and notes that from now on, he is her eternal master, and she will be her pet. He grabs and puts her in a newly built bath, where she is already vowing to devote everything to him. Lin has waited for this moment, and immediately asks to see her use that holy light cage skill. Freya's mind is still fragmented, so Lin gives her a magic book he got from the elves to help her, and with it, she can muster up enough concentration to actually use that skill. Lin is very glad to see it in action. This is exactly what he needed. They walk past Loder on their way back, who, upon seeing Freya, immediately thinks that she has recovered and tells her to kill the goblin and get him out of here. He orders her to. Lin smiles, noting that she has already submitted to him. But Loder refuses to believe that the daughter of the leader of the Holy Order has submitted to a goblin. To prove it, Lin orders Freya to tell him so, and she does, getting on her knees as she once again vows everything to Lin. Loder's last bit of hope shatters in front of him. He begins shaking, but then smiles. His actions will lead his entire damn race to extinction. The Holy Church will make sure that they are all cleansed in their righteous fire. Lin did not know this bit of information about Freya, but he's very glad to have found out. As a reward for telling him such information, he orders one of his warrior goblins to make sure that Loder doesn't get rest for a few days. After this order, he tells Freya to come with him, as they have a tribe to conquer. At the Bloodfang tribe, a shaking shaman tells the leader that everything is ready, who immediately gets up from his throne, as today, they are going to destroy all the southern tribes. They will capture the elves they have and have some good fun. As the goblins near him cheer, one of them points out that a goblin just came into their tribe, looking for him specifically. The leader looks at Lin, guessing he's pretty low level considering how skinny he is, but Lin pays him no mind. He knows he's a hero-level goblin with at least some moniker of intelligence, so that is why he's talking to him right now. The leader asks if he's a mutant, and Lin denies such claims. He's just a bit smarter than your usual goblin, but enough about that. He turns to the other goblins, noting that he's the leader of the southern tribe. He wants the head of their fat leader, so will they submit or die right now? The leader is not all that shocked about this, as Lin is prancing around bragging. The leader immediately grabs him by the head and calls him a fool for coming by himself. Once he crushes him, the elves and humans he has will be left for him to enjoy. The goblins cheer for their boss to end it, and Lin understands if he wants the hard way, then that's what he's gonna get. He immediately frees himself from the leader's grasp and cuts his arm off, making him fall down in pain. He orders his minions to kill Lin, but as they charge, Lin gives the signal, and suddenly, a bunch of goblins come out of invisibility. As combined with their silent step skill, they cannot be detected. Lin orders them to kill everyone from the tribe, and the Bloodfang leader finally gets it. This was his plan all along. He came here to talk just to make them drop their guard, allowing his goblins to move in. Now his only chance is to take him out, so he charges in with a mighty punch, but Lin simply calls for Freya, who uses the prison spell to capture the leader, who is beyond confused, as the goblins cannot use light spells. That's when he sees Freya, who is groveling at Lin's feet, who is glad that she grew even stronger after falling. He will make sure to reward her well after they get back. The Bloodfang leader damns him for being scum, but Lin tells him not to worry. He will not kill him just yet. He still has some use as a breeding stallion. They drag him all the way back to the tribe, where subduing the leader further takes some work from Lin's side, but he manages to make him sit still with a few cuts in the right places. Loder is shocked to see that he actually captured a hero-tier goblin. How in the hell did he do it? Lin tells Yuen that the artificial insemination will be done with the other goblins. She just needs to keep an eye on them to make sure they don't mess up. He also hands her Freya, as he has no use for her at this moment. He then commands the elf mother to help him get dressed, as he's going to go meet a friend, a very important one at that. After gathering a bunch of bodies on a beach, he thinks that the human reinforcements are likely to arrive at Brighttown soon, and with their current strength, they could not hope to win against the Saintess, who is almost certain to join the assault. Growing the hero seed also takes time, so it's time for him to go meet the purple gold dragon. That's why he gathered these bodies. The Dragon Island is at least 100 kilometers away, and since dragons are attracted to meat, he devised this little gift for them. As soon as one approaches, enticed by the smell of the fresh kills, Lin hides in one of the carcasses, and it seems to actually work, as the dragon just grabs the bundle of corpses and carries them to the Dragon Island. After a pretty bumpy ride, Lin gets dropped in a dark hole filled with bones, where he gets out and starts his quest of finding the Dragon Mother. But it doesn't take him long, as she's right behind him, having noticed his presence a while ago. She also recognizes him. He's the one who attacked Brighttown when she did. Now what is the purpose of his sneaking into her territory? Lin tells her to wait a bit, as he is here to discuss a cooperation between them. She finds this action peculiar. A mere goblin has the gall to try to negotiate with a dragon. For this, she is willing to listen to him at least. But he had better have something good to say, or she will let her children peck at his bones. Lin knows that she is seeking revenge on the Sword Saintess, so how about they join forces? He would even go as far as to consider it a favor for her, since she helped him last time. The Dragon Mother certainly didn't expect him to actually target the Sword Saintess. This has piqued her interest. But does he even have a plan to deal with that hag? Lin says that it's quite simple. He needs Brighttown distracted, and her dragons would be perfect for this. She wonders what he will do though. What can mere goblins do against the Sword Saintess that can cut through 100 of them in a second? Lin tells her that he knows direct confrontation will not work against someone like her. They have to attack her mind, destroying her spirit, and will make sure that they can defeat her. The Dragon Mother likes this plan. Using the goblins as tools is also something she's fond of, as she doesn't have to sacrifice as many of her children. Lin asks if this means they have a deal, which she agrees to, but since he's so clever and handsome, and the MC of this story, she naturally wants to let him hit. Lin knew it was breeding season, but he didn't expect this. Unfortunately, the Dragon Mother knows he's too small and frail for her to have any fun with, so she will give him another reward. She has plenty to pick from after all. Some time passes at the tribe. Loder is sitting in the middle of the village, crucified, wondering why the knights haven't rescued him yet. If he stays here any longer, even his spirit is going to falter. But how can he escape when there are goblins everywhere? As he thinks, he suddenly sees a red wyvern approaching the village and demands to be let go while struggling, as he doesn't want to burn. The goblins notice the drake too and prepare for combat, but that's when they notice that someone is sitting on top of the landing wyvern, someone familiar. Naturally, it's Lin, who announces his return to the goblins and tells the wyvern to rest here and not wander around for a bit. They all cheer for their boss, as getting that rare of a mount is an incredible achievement, but Loder is more afraid than ever. This guy simply cannot be a goblin. In Brighttown, the Royal Knight Order finally arrives, their stalwart armor shining in the bright sun. They all form up and bow down to the Saintess. who wants to skip the formalities. As they have already lost too much time, they will immediately start preparing the rescue plan. Lin uses the simulated life system, which updates him on all that he did, and also gives him 3 choices: to continue farming in the forest, to find a way to capture prisoners to make more goblins, or to speed up the leveling process and jump forward 1 month. Lin guesses that since the 3rd option appeared, it means that the Sword Saintess will not appear, so he decides to skip 1 month. Suddenly, he is overwhelmed by the system's blue hue, and as the points are given to him, he wakes up in his bed 1 month later. He has also reached level 50, giving him a bunch of stats and a combat level of 1,000. As he wonders why he didn't get many stat boosts, Yuan comes into his chambers and reports that many of the newborn goblins are stillborn. Sure enough, he goes outside to see that it is so, making him wonder what the hell happened. Even the elf mother is confused. Loder laughs, as they really thought they could make stronger offspring just like that. The higher the rank of the goblins, the harder it is for their offspring to survive. His plans to rule through reproduction are destroyed, and he will die a fool. Lin doesn't know why this guy just keeps telling him such vital information for free, so he rewards him with his favorite activity, a snuggle with a struggle. As the goblins take him down, Lin thinks that it's too late to nurture new hero goblins now, but they do need a larger number. Otherwise, facing the Saintess is not even a possibility. As he thinks on a way to upgrade the goblins, his dragon wyvern appears behind him, nuzzling at his back, and Lin kind of guesses that it's entered mating season in full, but he doesn't have the package to engage with a dragon. Suddenly though, the dragon transforms into her humanoid form, because of course she does, and swiftly apprehends Lin, pinning him to the ground. Well, at least he gains a promotion from it and a bunch of stats. Lin holds himself on a nearby log because the wyvern almost rode him to Tartarus, but this surprisingly caused him to evolve into a hero-class goblin. He knew something would happen if they mated, but this is a very good bonus. The wyvern is not done yet. However, she is craving more, but Lin can barely walk as is, so he points out his other warrior goblins, as they are all waiting for her dragon blood too. She immediately runs towards them with a fierce hunger in her eyes, and for the first time, the goblins are the victims. Later that night, they celebrate, as most of them have evolved after taking in the dragon blood, allowing them to break their previous barrier and enter a new stage of evolution. Lin rests on the now satisfied wyvern, thinking that the dragon race really is legendary. Not only did he evolve, but so did his other warriors. Even with this though, his overall strength is still rather low, so it's time for him to get some much-needed equipment. He opens the system shop and thinks that, as a leader of a now hero-class clan, he has a prestige to maintain, and a fierce weapon is what he needs. With only 180 credits though, he can only get an elemental crossbow, which absorbs elements and releases them as elemental arrows. Honestly, not a bad deal for 100 credits. He also gets the Blade Stealer ability, which allows the user to catch a weapon with their bare hands up to 3 times, which will definitely save his life, especially against that crazed Saintess. After getting the crossbow, he wonders how useful it really is, and decides to test it on Loder, as he has nothing better to do anyway. Just like that, Loder was the first to experience the new might of Lin Tian. Later in the Enchanted Forest, a bunch of adventurers seem to be adventuring, as you do, but they are quite bored, as there are only low-level monsters around here. A purple-haired woman is especially annoyed. They really should have stayed with the Saintess and guarded the town. The leader of the party tells Karen that this is an opportunity for them. Since the Saintess can't go after the goblins, she decided to let them do it. They can prove themselves. They should stay sharp, move swiftly, and not waste such a chance. Suddenly the wizard sees something, a gigantic spider approaching them, which she absolutely hates. The Karen shoots it immediately, as this is just a class 3 bug, nothing to fret over. Unfortunately for them, it doesn't end there, as a hero-class hybrid goblin appears out of the spider, which they think is the leader, so they get prepared to take his head back to the Saintess and bathe in the glory they will receive, along with a couple of coin pouches too. The entire group gets ready to fight this boss-like creature, but before the captain can charge, a man in full plate armor notes that he wants to take this kill, as the captain has taken tons of kills on their way here, and he wants some achievements too. The captain is gracious enough to let him take it, because he's powerful enough to do so, and he didn't do much this expedition anyway. The plated man enters a stance, ready to throw his spear at the goblin with his entire force, and he does just that as soon as the goblin charges in. Unfortunately for him and everyone else though, the goblin just catches the dinky needle he threw and sends it back to them in kind. The wizard barely has enough time to summon a shield to defend them, and even then, it almost gets destroyed by the goblin's sheer force. The Karen notes that he must be a power type, so if they just stay away from him and whittle him down, they should win. Unfortunately for her, she doesn't even get to send out a single arrow, as a goblin assassin penetrates her from behind. The 3 remaining members form a circle, having their backs as a dark mist overtakes their surroundings. From it, a bunch of mighty goblins appear, sealing their fate as prey. After the goblins are done with them, the hybrid goblin picks the mage up and plans to have some fun with her, but the bigger warrior tells him no, as these are the tribe's spoils. The boss specifically ordered them to capture all the humans they meet, and they already lost one because they were fools. The hybrid isn't having it. They have killed so many humans already. They are stronger than them, so they can control their spoils of war. The others agree. They are the strongest now, so the tribe should be listening to them, not vice versa. He is especially strong. They will definitely listen to him. The warrior goblin looks at his reflection in the blade and notes that they should bring them back before anything. The village celebrates their arrival back, especially since they actually managed to capture a bunch of humans too. The elf mother advises Leon, wondering if he can really control them now. Sure enough, the goblin hybrid roars and picks up the captain of the adventuring group, claiming that this is his meal. Leon tells him that the man has vital information that they need, so he will let him down. The hybrid goblin refuses. If he wants him so badly, then he will exchange him for his women. They are both naturally shocked by this, and Lin wonders if he has any idea what he is saying right now. Is he defying his leader? The hybrid notes that the warrior, named Kwang, is stronger than him now, so they will follow the strongest, as their law dictates. Lin did not expect his own son to be the mastermind, but alas, he is not surprised either. The hybrid gives him one chance. If he gives up his women and backs away, they may just let him live for mental tasks. Suddenly though, Kwang grabs his head from behind and crushes it in one fell swoop, shocking the other small goblins, as they thought of him as their new champion. He then speaks, noting that after leveling up, he had begun to understand many things, and unlike these arrogant idiots, he does respect him, but he also respects the rule of strength. He once became the leader by killing the old leader. Now he wishes to try. Kwang is confident because he leveled up to 50 and has a bunch of good stats, raising his combat power to 1200. Lin sees this and gets fired up. He's happy to see his own spawn grow like this, but is he sure that he wants to challenge his father? Thank you for watching. See you next time.